Let's do it. Let's talk about the diet industry. Well, hello, welcome back if this isn't your first time. I'm Demi, your friendly neighborhood fitness friend, and today we are going to talk about the diet industry. I'm going to be exposing some of the little scams, and at the end of the video there will be some helpful tips to help kickstart your fitness journey. So there's different broad umbrellas that these diets tend to fall under. We're going to start with the low carb diets. Now I know the second I said this, there's quite a few options that came to mind, because there's some ones that have become really popular over the last couple of decades. Now these diets work on the basis that only about 10% of your calories should come from carbs, and the rest of it should be from things like protein and fat. What they often use to back up these claims are, if you're eating less carbohydrates, then your body's forced to break down your sugar stores in order to give energy, and some go as far as wanting your liver to come into play so that you can break down your fat stores and use that as energy. Now, while the research shows that at the beginning of these diets you do tend to lose some weight, these results tend to quickly taper off, and that is because these diets are notoriously hard to sustain. I mean, cutting out a big macronutrient like carbs, you can only go so far with it. The other thing about these diets is with your increased protein and fat consumption, you really do have to watch to make sure that you're not leaving yourself with detrimental health risks, such as cardiovascular disease or gout or high blood pressure, which research has also shown these diets can leave you prone to if you do them over an extended period. Also, if you're looking to add in any kind of exercise or activity alongside these diets, you might find that you struggle a bit, because without carbohydrates to give you energy, your body has to work a lot harder in order to get it from whatever stores you have. So you find you're going to fatigue really easily, have a lot of irritability, and also be really hungry. This will decrease your motivation for whatever activity you're partaking in, and you're less likely to even go back to it. Now, the other side of this diet, with regards to the ones that suggest going far enough to where fat can be broken down to provide you with energy, something called ketogenesis, is if you push it too far, then you have a whole lot of ketones in your bloodstream, and these have their own negative effects and can result in things like coma and death. Now, there are medical indications for these kind of diets for people with things like diabetes, but oftentimes these people are working with doctors and dietitians, which help them appropriately calibrate the amount of carbs that should be in their diet. So it's really hard to just kind of pick something off the internet or what somebody else has said and go with it, because you can really open up yourself to some bad side effects. Now, another method they go with are the low-fat options. And these are like the ones that have been around the longest, I think, because usually when people think diet, they go straight to cutting fat out. Now, if you're focusing just on saturated fat, that's fine. I mean, those are bad for you. It's widely known. But if you're going into just fat in general, then there's some real negative impacts of that. Fat is really essential in keeping your skin and hair healthy, helping your immune system function, keeping your organs warm, helping you regulate body temperature, and also absorbing certain nutrients. So if you cut fat out of your diet, you can find yourself with nutritional deficiencies. Your skin and hair will also feel it. Now, the other thing about fat is it actually helps in weight management. Contradictory, yes. But fats are the reason why food tends to taste good, and they also help in turning up your hunger signals that your brain sends to your body. If you take the fat out of the food, your brain is less likely to recognize those hunger signals being satisfied, and you find that you finish it and then you're still hungry and you just want to keep going. Now, the last ones are the ones that suggest that you severely restrict your calories, the starvation diets. All right, they tell you to eat way less calories, then your body needs to keep going, and that way you lose weight. These ones really get to me, because if your body is used to a higher calorie intake and you suddenly slash that by a large percentage, it's going to think you're starving and do everything it can to preserve you. your body does a lot of work constantly to keep you alive. So it's gonna hold on to whatever stores you do have, and you find that after a while the weight is just getting harder and harder to shift. Now the other side of it is, if you are doing any kind of exercise and activity alongside these diets again, and your body's forced to have to break down stores for energy, it will go into your muscles to get that energy if it has to. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, muscle burns way more calories even just at rest than fat does. And if your body is forced to go into your muscles and to provide you with energy for your day, then it's gonna leave you with a higher percentage of body fat than muscle. And what happens is your basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories your body needs just to stay alive, reduces because you're burning less at rest now due to the higher amount of fat over muscle. So you find quite often with these diets, once you get off them and go back to eating normally, which you will do after a while, you gain all that weight that you lost back, and oftentimes with a little extra, and then next time you go to try and lose some of it, it'll be way harder to shift because your body's having to work so much harder to burn the same amount of calories. Now, oftentimes with these diets, what tends to come along with them is a big helping of food demonization. You know, they tell you certain foods are bad or fattening, which no one food is fattening. It's all about moderation and portion size. You know, they tell you, oh, you had a piece of cake. Oh my God, you ate cake? You disgust me. When really it's just cake. Oftentimes these food demonizations tend to go with the obsessive calorie monitoring some of these diets promote. Now the thing about those two working together is it can really mess up your relationship with food and go into your mental state where you then having trouble with disordered eating, which is a whole different ball game. So you have to be sure that whatever you're doing, it doesn't leave you with long-term effects. But the thing to remember above all with these diets is they're a business, and how do businesses thrive? On return customers. That is why every single diet out there has a built-in failure point. That's right, they're designed for you to fail. Because think about it, if you do the diet and you lose the weight, you're able to keep it up. You're never going back, and eventually everybody will be at their weight goal, and that's the end of the business. So what they need is to keep you coming back. So they put it into their plan somewhere at some point where you will fall off the diet, gain the weight back, and then you would think to yourself, oh, when I did that diet, I lost some weight, and you would go back to them again. That's why so many of these companies have really gone as far now as producing their own product, and oftentimes they tout them as low fat and lower calorie. But the thing about those low fat products is, like I said before, fat is the reason why food tastes good. If you take the fat out of it, the food is gonna taste awful. So what do they do to remedy that? They're just pumping a whole bunch of sugar. And oftentimes, even when they say it's low calorie, it's usually maybe 10% less if you're lucky. Seriously, if you're ever in a grocery store, pick up one of these products and put them up to their full fat competition and look at the nutritional information, and it's all right there. Now, I've talked a lot about the diets, a lot of it not very flattering, and now you're probably wondering, well, what do I do then? Well, here's where my helpful tips come in. First thing you need to do, throw all those old ideas out the window and figure out what works for you. Oftentimes what I suggest to people is setting small goals at a time to give your mind and your body time to adjust. See, if you've been a specific size for a really long time and you're looking to change that, your body thinks that's normal. So if you go into a drastic option, it will freak out and try to do everything it can to oppose you. So what you want to do is set little tiny goals, be them weight related or calorie related with regards to reducing it a little bit at a time, and try and hit those goals. Not only will that keep you motivated, it will also help you to sustain the changes to your lifestyle. Now with this, what I really want to ensure you understand is don't focus on anything like failure. Failure is a concept you come up with your mind. If you set these goals and you don't meet them, that's fine. Wake up tomorrow and keep going. Your journey is not linear. Mine wasn't. It goes up, it comes down, it goes back up again. Just keep pushing. Now the most important thing to keep in mind is it is important to operate from a place of self-love. Now think about it this way. You know, when you're in school and you have that one particular subject that you just absolutely hated, and you'd stay up all night studying, but you just couldn't get it. Now contrast that with that subject you had that you loved, and sometimes you wouldn't even study and you'd still get a passing grade. Relate that same thing to your body. If you operate from a place of hate and negativity, you're not going to get a positive outcome from it. So you have to focus on loving yourself at every single stage of your journey, and ensure that as you are setting these goals for yourself, they are all focused and directed at you becoming the best you. Don't use somebody else's picture as like your ultimate goal, because you're setting yourself up for disappointment. You're still going to be you at the end of the day, so you need to ensure that whatever you're aiming for is the best version of you. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, watch my other videos, and come back for more fun stuff. There's always more on the way. Okay? Bye.